new season of Spec-5 World Tour begins at the Daytona road course. There's new drivers, new rules, a new level of competition for one of iRacing's greatest Mazda MX-5 racing leagues. And it's going to be live here all season long on HJBC. David Haynes with Reese Gardner, Michael Derby in our production. Reese, we are so keen to get going for this one again. Anytime you go MX-5 racing, it is always so close and so competitive. We've got that all set up for a new season. And then you add in the high banks and the speed of Daytona.
Absolutely. Glad to be back here once again for the new season of Spec-5 World Tour. Got 10 rounds of racing coming up over the course of the next couple of months, ending the season just before Christmas at the Bend for a 90-minute enduro, but starting with 45-minute race here at Daytona for the first round of the season. And a couple of updates have been made to the track in recent times for especially in the chicane area. So the drivers are going to have to tackle that in particular, but we've got a lot of drivers returning from previous seasons here. We know just about everybody in this field. It's going to be a lovely chill time. We're going to be seeing some great sports car racing. Looking forward to it.
One piece of the format that remains untouched. We have a 15-minute qualifying session heading into a 45-minute race with a fixed setup. Everyone needing to make one fuel stop, and this is a racetrack, or I think fuel strategy, what buddy you pit with, all of those things are absolutely pivotal and foremost. What does change as we go to a manual safety car if required, with the IMSA-style pit rules and a restart zone. Looking here through the conditions, Mike Oswald's trying to get some tyre temperature going through the infield. That part looks the same. It's out on the banking and through the Le Mans chicane where there's more paved runoff, couple fresh licks of paint all going around. Things therefore will be just a little bit tighter through that chicane now, even if they look more open.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be tough. You got to try and thread the needle through the first part of that chicane and make sure that you get on the power enough to induce some rotation, but not too much. Otherwise, you'll lose speed down NASCAR 3 and 4 and to the start-finish line for the run to the end of the lap. It's quite a difficult circuit, Daytona, deceptively so. Mike Oswald here going to demonstrate those new curbs at the chicane for us, and you can really bounce over them, can't you? It looks like maybe he has a couple more apexes to try and hook up there.
They've also been down to Brian France's used tyre emporium. They've laid out a couple more of them around the chicane, not only just blocking off the straight cut a la Monza first chicane, but also there's a new tyre bundle just past the fourth apex. If you end up wide, that's an interesting one that's out there that you might run afoul of.
Yeah, a little bit of a hazard there. So particularly on lap 1, they're going to have to be careful not to run each other out on the exit. Too wide should still be possible, especially in these cars, but some care will have to be taken. Oswald demonstrating the run into the infield at the moment, cutting all the way across the pit exit blend line to widen the entry into this hairpin. 3D curbs now at Daytona as well, so you'll be able to get a better sense of how the curbs will affect car behavior flat out through the infield as Jared Culnins is now on the run to, I believe, the bus stop.
It's where you really wind up the car. Sequential gearbox now for these race cars puts the ratios a little bit closer with a racing gearbox, which is perfect for the long full throttle. It's got big yellow anti-cut curbs. You've got curbs that you can need a little bit of. There's the tyre bundle that you do not want to make friends with. Jared Collins navigates cleanly. And that's about the best you can hope for, I reckon. It's to be tidy like that, like Jared just was. And then out onto Speedway 3 and 4. Long run around to the start-finish line and the timing line.
It's around about here on the NASCAR road course layout where they'd have a little chicane before the start-finish stretch, but all the way down onto the apron for Coleman's there. And we'll set a 2-minute 11.6, and that is good enough for provisionally. P3 as Lincoln Fox has put in a 2:11.294 up the front. Cameron Kuhlbeck gets pretty close to that one, goes second fastest on a 2:11.359. Then we have Michael Folds with a 2:11.58 for the third position. Looking like the times are quite close around here for the first qualifying of the season.
Ought to be. Everyone's got identical cars. There's only a couple of corners and braking zones that separate. So while it's a bit over a 5-kilometer course around here, it's got as many corners as like a Mid-Ohio or something. You just really stretch out the straights and the high speed.
Michael Coates improves to P4. Mark Kruger putting himself in P19 on his first lap. The open class is currently headed up by Rick Wishon, who's managed to get himself into the overall top 10, which is pretty fantastic, I have to say. Looks like the open class is just as competitive as it almost always has been. Still got quite a few drivers left to set their times as well. We've got 37 cars in the server at the moment, 35 of which are out on track trying to get their times on the board at the moment. Great turnout.
Live timing is at spec5.hjbc.live as well. Everyone is very handily split into their pro and open classes, 2 divisions for Spec-5 World Tour. Grid together, race together, but 2 points championships to think about across this season.
Indeed, the pro class and the open class, basically pro and am in most other leagues, but it's going to be looking good for both classes, and it's worth pointing out, as well as with previous seasons of Spec-5, that the classes are not scored separately. You might see the running order on the timing tower there on the left-hand side, but rest assured, it is overall finishing position that defines how many points you get. So if you're the open class pole sitter, the more pro cars in between yourself and your next open class rival, the better. So, moving through to the final minutes of the session, we just ticked over the halfway point of the 15 minutes of qualifying, and we've had 32 drivers set times so far. Eugenio Polici being the last of those, and it seems like his time is about 5 seconds off what the others were, but hello, he's made a great recovery from that. Immediately goes to provisional pole on a 2:11.0. That's some good space then between himself and Lincoln Fox for provisional pole around this circuit. Eugenio should be very happy with that. So now we're just waiting for further times from Lee Martin and Jordan Flowers as Paul Murgatroyd goes to P26 with his first time on the board. Rob Conahan making a big improvement from 27th up to 14th. Magnificent run for Rob. And it would seem We're looking for another lap from Donnie Moffat as well. Moffat currently sitting in P5, and all he has to do is gain a tenth of a second, and that will be fourth place for him. Across the line he will go. Culnins improves to third. Donnie Moffat unable to improve on his time there. He was about 6/100ths of a second off his fastest. Odyssey Adams Jr. improving to P6 as well. It looks like Ryan Zabelski not quite able to make an improvement there. Remaining in P25 for the moment. Geordie Fike, another one of the drivers who has been competitive up the top in previous seasons. See what he can do to improve on P20. A 2:12.7 there on his final lap. Unable to make any improvements. It's looking like around lap 2 or lap 3 is where you get the quickest times out of the tires.
Yeah, it's something we see commonly. Shorter tracks, lap 3 might be the sweet spot. Longer tracks like here, lap 2 might be the sweet spot. Eugenio Pulici is a little bit off PB on that one.
Still manages to keep the provisional pole time, and looking at the times that we've seen from these drivers, yeah, it does look like lap 2 is the fastest if you're committing to a full 4-lap run. But we'll see if Eugenio has anything else in the bag on this final lap. He's got more than enough time to complete it.
Yeah, chance that you just back it off a little bit and it goes again. You'll have burnt down a little bit more of the fuel. If you can bring the tyres back, the final lap could be an opportunity for improvement for some. Hey, you know what I'm noticing? Not only have they updated the Le Mans chicane, the timing tower is so much brighter on the front straight.
It is.
Yeah. They've invested in all of the LEDs, given us that one. Have.
Yeah, Daytona as one of the tracks I think most consistently updated on iRacing. They always like to have a proper new build in time for the Daytona 24. I'm wondering how many more changes we'll see to the circuit before then. On board with Pulici through the chicane, you can see how much he is sliding the car through these corners and just correcting the steering on the way through. That is flat out hard driving we're seeing from Eugenio Pulici.
Well, Reese, they've paved all of the interesting bits, so all that's left to pave is Lake Lloyd.
Yeah, absolutely. Lake Lloyd, of course, the quarry from which the earth was dug up to make the banking for Daytona International Speedway and became the infield lake. Pulici across the line, and he's lost pole to Michael Folds, the first driver to get into the 2-minute 10s right at the end of the session. So Pulici, for the moment, will still have a front row. But Michael Folds has put in a fantastic time there. We'll now see if anyone else can try and match it. So a little opportunity for some pit stop practice as well. In the midst of this qualifying session, Daytona has one of the most difficult pit lane entries. You're coming into it from VMAX, and you have to slam on the brakes at just the right time, bring yourself down to 88 kilometers per hour or 50-something miles an hour for the run through the pit lane. At least it was 88 last time I drove there. I think it might have decreased a little bit in the years since. But good opportunity for practicing the pit stop, of which there will be one in this 45-minute race.
So we're thinking about that top three of open class at the moment with Jerry DiPiero, Rob Conahan, Rick Wishon. 30th outright for Lee Martin at the minute. Our reigning Mr. Clean.
Yeah, of course, the Mr. Clean Championship for the least amount of incidents gathered over the course of a season. Nice little award for the drivers to try and work towards. Best thing about it is it isn't determined by finishing position, so it doesn't matter where you finish. You'll still be in contention for Mr. Clean if you have a clean race. No matter your pace or talent, there is something to race for in Spec-5. And it looks like that's going to be the end of qualifying, David. It is time for us to go through the grid for the first round of the new season.
So 45 minutes ahead of them at Daytona International Speedway to begin season 18 of the Spec-5 World Tour. Michael Folds has pole from Eugenio Pellicci, front row. It'll be very exciting to watch. Lincoln Fox then in third with Jared Collins in fourth. And it's all pro drivers in the top 10 with Cameron Coolbeck and Otis Adams. And then Donnie Moffat and Michael Coates, Paul Murgatroyd and Rui Coimbra is our top 10.
11th place, Michael Chase starting alongside Gigi Griffin on the second row, with Jerry DiPiero starting in 13th alongside Mitchell Peake. Rob Conahan and Rick Wishon are your 8th row, with Jason Stalker and David Starb 17th and 18th. The top 20 rounded out by Peter Rosakis and Sean Hayes.
21st has Geordie Fike, Cameron Frederick then in 22nd, Mike Oswalt in 23rd, Gareth Brocklesby 24th, Brian Jabelski 25th, Gavin Smith in 26th, Todd Martin, Mark Kruger, Kyle Genske and Lee Martin. Then just for the rest of our qualified drivers, it's Leonardo Guerra, Travis Hewitt, Eric Schulhoff, Jordan Flowers, and Jake DeGrand. Camden Hibbert stepping into administrative duties for Spec-5 World Tour, bringing along Thomas Bellerman as our race control and safety car driver.
Yeah, so there is an opportunity here for a safety car over the course of this race. It will certainly add a little bit more spice to the strategy. We've seen plenty of great strategy battles in this series over the years. Just add another little wrinkle to it. The field is pulling away now behind the pace car, and we will have a full formation lap after this little run to the start finish line, so plenty of time to explore Daytona International Speedway and think about the various pitfalls and foibles that the drivers will encounter on their way around this event.
So there's Lake Lloyd looking beautiful. There's our garages, haulers, the pit straight. New brightly illuminated timing tower is sort of the exit of pit road and where our road course turn 1 is. There's the tunnel underneath where they'll you go through when you enter for the tour.
I see. Haven't had the opportunity to get over to Daytona International Speedway, let alone the United States, full stop. Hopefully an opportunity will present itself sometime in the future.
Maybe you'll represent Australia at the World Cup.
Yeah, potentially. I'm not too good at kicking a ball around, but I'm sure you wire me enough money, I'll certainly give it a go. But Michael Folds has got it all to play for ahead of him. The only issue is these cars are incredibly good in the slipstream, and Daytona is a slipstream track the whole way around. Like, you get a poor exit out of one of these corners and you're the leader, you're going to get swamped by everybody.
Absolutely, that's always the problem. And who wants to work with you bump drafting at a track like this very much comes into play. Some others, so you'll utilize the slipstream a little bit here. You'll sort of, go with someone if they're quick enough, but putting your front bumper squarely on someone else's rear bumper and pushing, it's a little bit more of a super speedway thing to do.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it through the turns, but once you get out of the banking and you're on sort of flat ground, you might see a little bit of bump drafting from drivers just to try and catch up to those ahead of them. These hairpins are going to be a good overtaking opportunity on the infield as well. No wings, no downforce on these cars, so the conversation that comes up during Daytona GT and prototype events of, how much downforce do you give it so you have the grip through the infield but still keep the straight line speed on the oval portions of the racetrack, that's not relevant here. And it's a fixed setup series as well, so every driver is dealing with effectively the same car. It'll be all down to how much you can maximize your mid-corner speed in the infield and do the slow in, fast out job on the run onto the oval. Just one more trip through the Le Mans chicane, David, and we'll be getting ready to start this race off. Absolute bumper field here for the first round.
There's one person conspicuous by their absence, the reigning champion Joao Hedler. It could be a wide open field this season 18, depending on how things go here at Daytona. Michael Folds and Eugenio Pollicci on your front row, Lincoln Fox and Jared Collins on row 2. All looking to kick off a new season and put themselves ahead of the pack.
Indeed. Lincoln Fox looks like is leaving a little bit more space there to Michael Folds on the driver's left line of cars. But we'll be getting the green flag in just a few moments' time. Pace car will pull in, and then the field will fall under the control of Michael Folds for the first green flag of the new Spec-5 World Tour season.
There goes the pace car. 45 minutes on the clock begins when the green flag waves. We enter the whoever sponsors it here restart zone at Daytona, and we get rolling. They all roar into life. You got to drop down off the banking into turn 1 for the first time on cold tires, and this is perfect for Michael Folds. Lincoln Fox moving forward, but on a tight line through the first corner. Eugenio Pollicci back in the third. Cameron Coolbeck coming through. Looks like the left-hand row of drivers have all gained very significantly on that race start. Now things get tight. Big braking zone into the first hairpin, the International Horseshoe. We remain side by side, a bit deeper in the field. You don't imagine that Folds and Fox will be able to keep that advantage once we get out onto the banking and the speedway. But for the moment, they're loving seeing this in the mirrors behind them.
That they will. And drivers fanning out just a little bit, some contact in the midfield and being sent off the circuit as a result is the blue machine of Paul Murgatroyd. So unfortunately, that's a couple of incidents picked up there for our open class pole sitter. The open class being led now by Jerry DiPiero, who sits in 12th position for the moment. Jason Stalker and Mitchell Peak trading spots behind him, and Stalker is going to be the one chasing for that open class. A little bit of extra momentum for Jason, picking up the slipstream here. This is where things start to get interesting.
I think we've got 45 minutes of interesting ahead of us here. Stalker moves up into second in the open class. Gareth Brocklesby dropping back a couple of spots. So it's that braking zone into the chicane where people start to think about, let's get some moves done here before we then exit out onto the banking once more. Michael Chase, he's getting pushed by the looks of things there.
Yeah, this is where the bump drafting starts to come into play, and the lead is on as well. It looks like Lincoln Fox has moved past Michael Folds and into the lead of the race immediately. And I think this is going to be the first of a few trades between these guys, because they're going to be losing a fair amount of time if they don't try to pass each other. But Fox will hold on to the lead out of turn one. And now Folds will come under pressure from Polici, Jared Culnins, and Donnie Moffat. The top 11 cars in the field, all the pro class for the moment.
They don't have any secret sauce in their tank. They're just the top-rated drivers, either by what they've achieved in this series before or their iRacing resume as a whole, and then winners from the open class typically get promoted into the pro class as well. Jerry Zapiero in that one at the moment. We've certainly seen some other tracks where the open drivers are closer to the pro drivers. I don't know in qualifying exactly what separated the drivers at Daytona, but I think with only a couple of corners that you need to really execute inch perfect around here, that's where the difference has been made. For the slipstream to begin to just close this up like a slinky here. And Lincoln Fox leading, but without a massive margin over Michael Folds. Eugenio Polici there in third. It's going to get the double toe off the leaders. And what sort of enters the straight as 3 car length gaps becomes sort of 1.5 car length gaps just before the braking zone and pitching in to this quad apex chicane.
Yeah, it looks like the best run in belonged to Michael Folds. He was a lot more aggressive over the curbs than Lincoln Fox, but it all equals out by the time they get to the exit. Top 9 are presently all in this same pack, and it looks like Michael Folds is going to try and come back on Lincoln Fox. A little further back, we have fighting going on here. And pushing up to the wall there is Jason Stalker to keep Jerry DiPiero behind him. There's Michael Folds in the lead, and now car slow up top there. Not quite sure who that was. Slow down from the
chicane, potentially. Michael Chase has dropped back just as this second pack has gone wild. 2 packs forming at Daytona. It's a bit wide through one. Don't know how much marbles is coming off the tyres of these MX-5s. So hopefully not too much. Hopefully through almost all of the track, we keep multiple lanes of racing at the horseshoe through turn 1, etc.
Indeed. Folds and Fox breaking away a little bit at the front of the field. Polici and Moffat still chasing in 3rd and 4th, but for the moment, it's looking like it is between Folds and Fox for the race win in the early stages of this race. We've only had about 5 or 6 minutes of the race complete for the moment, so plenty more to come. 1/9 of the way through round 1 of Spec-5 World Tour. This is where the slipstream is picked up again. The battling is still going on a bit further back. I've got eyes on 16th back. Paul Murgatroyd, who was put back on lap 1, is now under quite a bit of pressure from this huge pack of cars. He's got David Starb chasing him, and then Michael Chase, who, as you said earlier, David, was set back in the last couple of laps. He's got Geordie Fike and Gareth Brocklesby for company as well.
Some are playing tactically, some are just going for every spot. Prime example right now ahead of Michael Chase. David Starb, I think, maybe leaping for a couple too. And Gareth Brocklesby was going down the inside there, late move into the chicane. Still too early for the pit window because there is a fuel cap, so there's only so much you can fit in the car when you stop. There's Lincoln Fox taking the race lead around the outside of Michael Folds. Cameron Kuhlbeck's also going to look for a couple, so he's around the outside of turn 1. That can work if you can get the car then pointed into that late apex.
And the outside line in any case allows you to get on the power a little bit earlier, but the geometric fastest line comes back into play there through the little S on the exit too. Saw Eugenio Pellicci almost have another go at Cameron Kuhlbeck, but he is solidly into third now, and he's starting to build up some big momentum here. He's right on the back of Lincoln Fox already. Quite a magnificent run from the number 39. And does he find a move to the inside? Not quite. It's protected nicely by Michael Folds, as Lincoln Fox will lead us on to the first portion of the oval for this lap. Wondering if there's going to be any trade between Folds and Fox on the way into the bus stop. I would think that if you're going to make a trade and try and help each other out, the best place to do it is out of the chicane, because it's very difficult to actually make a move into that difficult bus stop.
Yeah, we sort of rode on board and we saw it's a third gear corner. You're not doing sort of GTP, prototype hypercar stuff where you got a really big braking zone into the chicane. Here's Kuhlbeck going for the lead, so as Fox and Folds sort of disagree about who's going to pull this group along. Cameron Kuhlbeck jumps through. Lincoln Fox gets a really good exit, so we'll be side by side for that race lead again. Looking at this pack at the moment, encompassing about a top 10, top 9 or so. You see Coates and Otis Adams back there as 3 wide splits, and Michael Folds shoots out of the middle.
Yeah, this is some good racing going on at the moment. We're starting to get a bit leery here. Bump draft down low for Michael Folds and Cameron Kuhlbeck. Lincoln Fox up high. They got the teammates behind as well, all fighting. Rui Coimbra getting past Eugenio Pellicci and Donnie Moffat on the way into turn 1. And hard on the brakes for the lot of them, using all the runoff area they possibly can. And now we're starting to see some Noah's Ark racing going on here, 2x2 on the way into the International Horseshoe for the lead of the race here. And it looks like that's Michael Folds getting into Cameron Kuhlbeck, hitting him wide through the apex of the hairpin. That'll give half a chance to Lincoln Fox, but I'm sure he's going to take the opportunity to just stay behind for a couple of corners. Folds is not out of slipstream range yet.
Well, after having 2 lanes through turns 1 and 2, we go single file again, exiting the Western Horseshoe. Everyone then gearing up to go onto the banking and the speedway and go for a full throttle blast. You've got a second pack back here where they're a little less organized. This looks like Paul Murgatroyd has gotten towards the front of it with Peak and then Starb behind with the blue and black.
Yeah, David Starb up high there with Gigi Griffin down low. And they're chased by another duo, Michael Chase and Jason Stalker. And Chase is one of the drivers who should be fighting in the top 10, but he was one of many cars that had issues on lap 1. And speaking of those issues, as they come into the chicane and sort themselves out single file, Race Control has reviewed an incident involving multiple cars on lap 1. No further action. Chase getting into the rear end of David Starb there and almost picking up some damage. Looked like the momentum was a little bit too low for Michael Chase's liking, but now he's going to have a triple slipstream. Peak, Griffin, and Starb all bump drafting there as Paul Murgatroyd is trying his best to run away, but at a track like this, it's nigh on impossible. Look at the momentum that they've got on him, and they're probably going to nab him on the way into turn 1.
Furious racing for the first stint. Haven't even had their pit stops yet. And then playing for keeps towards the end. Gee, look at that. You've almost got the next group catching this too. Peter Rosorkis leading a group back there. The whole heap of open drivers in it. So everyone can think that they're still in the fight right now.
Yeah, single pro car back there as well, Mike Oswalt, who has thus far not been able to elevate himself up the order. And Oswalt and Eric Schulhoff trading spots there as they're well and truly on the back of this pack now. Things starting to get super leery with Gareth Brocklesby opening the door to the inside ever so briefly on the way into the braking zone. But he and Jerry DiPiero will be safe as Sean Hayes, Geordie Fike and Kyle Genske are the cars we're focusing on at the moment, and Genske finds just enough room to the inside on Geordie Fike. Both of them will be getting a whisper, a slipstream from Sean Hayes, but I think it's going to be Genske with the biggest advantage.
He's got a little bit more toe. He's got his wheels right down up against the yellow line and the apron. No bump draft there, so he'll have the inside. Going into the chicane here, Sean Hayes won't give him anything cheaply. Hayes gets a big ride over the curb. It's all about the exit post that point.
Yeah, and looks like Genske got the best exit of them all, but he has decided not to immediately go for the move. It's often smarter in cars like this to bump draft, to try and build up momentum in the slipstream before you make a move. And speaking of momentum, Geordie Fike seems to be carrying a lot of it there. We can't forget as well, these guys are battling for 20th place. This is an absolute bumper field, and pretty much everyone is involved in a fight of some kind at the moment. Oh, okay, that was a little take to the runoff area down low for Sean Hayes. He backed out of that one early. Looked like he didn't want any part of that.
There's a whole heap of drivers where you're thinking you might finish 9th or you might win this race. And then in the next group, there's drivers you're looking at and thinking, you might finish 10th or you might finish 30th, and it all just could be a roll of the dice because those are the packs. That's how close it is with the slipstream still to come. Some drivers that are just biding their time might come to the fore later on with a quicker stop. We might just be waiting and have some sweet moves that we're only going to see in the back half.
Indeed. Checking a bit further back there to Gigi Griffin at the front of this pack, and then Paul Murgatroyd chasing him. Got Michael Chase with him too. Murgatroyd and Chase would have been unhappy with how things went for them in the opening stages of the race, but they've both been fighting back up admirably. The issue is now, once they get up to Gigi Griffin, there's a big amount of clear track up ahead of them, and they'll have to wait potentially for the pit stops to try and gain some time. Even then, it's about 5 seconds that Gigi Griffin would have to make up to get back up to Odyssey Adams. So we don't have much chance of that happening in the short term unless there's an incident of some kind.
Not rule out an incident of some kind at some point in this race based on what we've seen to this point, including Michael Folds just going a lane high versus Lincoln Fox here, getting pushed by Cameron Coolbeck, and a split. Some of our first pit takers are heading in. Junior Polici, interesting call, just as Coolbeck pushes Folds around to the race lead.
So coming out of pit lane as well, I believe that is Leonardo Guerra, who had to take quite a long visit to pit lane a short time ago. I think he might have caught some damage in the early stages and had to get it repaired.
So based on Eugenio Polici's numbers, that puts us solidly within the pit window here. Average fuel consumption a little bit higher at Daytona than it will be at some of the other tracks we'll go to this season.
Tyre wear shouldn't be much of a problem though, with the corners being very far apart and a lot of straight lines around this combined super speedway and road course. but you might still see drivers changing one side of the tyres. 3 wide. Further back in the field, that's a poor exit from, looks like, Rob Conahan, as Gareth Brocklesby gets around him for 14th place. And that just goes to show how disastrous it can be if you get the exit of that left-hander wrong. The straights are so long around here that any minor delay in getting on the power, any wiggle you have, is just going to compound.
Just got to be so exit focused. Here's Lincoln Fox up against the apron again, going to the lead. Coolbeck immediately just drops down and into that slipstream. Folds with a bit of momentum. So Fox, I think, then backed it up a tiny bit, because look at this momentum that Folds has got. Look at the momentum they've got behind him as well. 3 lanes, if you don't mind. All the way up on the high line there. Got to be careful.
And with a big dive round the outside, Michael Folds gets back into the race lead. Starting to see Donnie Moffat try and make some moves. His teammate Eugenio Polici, the first into pit lane. Got to wait and see how long it's going to take for Donnie Moffat to reflect his teammate's pit strategy. Rui Coimbra, it seems, is the hardest charger in the top 10 at the moment. He is up 6 places at the moment to P4. Hardest charger in the whole field looks to be Kyle Genske, 17 places gained. So that's a pretty solid run from many of the drivers here today. Rob Conahan, meanwhile, protecting that inside line.
Oh, he just caught a weird bit of the inside curb. We're looking at the replay of why Rob Conahan runs 30th at the moment. Got to give a shout out to the Loud Cup Racing guys, because all the way from North America, they did send me my own Geelong Cats Loud Cup. And I tell you what, it worked until the final game of the season, Reese.
Nice. Very nice indeed. Yeah, it's a nice little community that has built up over the years in this very long-running league.
What would your Loud Cup be?
Well, I'm not entirely sure, honestly. I'd like to get a Southpaw Racer logo on a Loud Cup. That'd be nice.
The West Coast Eagles need all the support you can give them. For just $1 a day, you too can help a struggling football team.
Yeah, nah, screw the Eagles. I'm not a huge fan of them. I'm not a fan of AFL, actually, full stop. But if I was going to go for an EWA team, it'd be the Dockers.
The front of the field fans out, though. We had 4 wide heading in towards turn 1. Lincoln Fox is going to lead us for the moment. I smell 1 or 2 laps away from some pit stops here. 22 and a half minutes to go will be the halfway point of this race. The end of this lap will be very close. If that's how you're going to dice up the slices of the oranges, neat cut straight down the middle of your pizza pie, this could be the in-lap.
It certainly could be. Very curious indeed to see how Eugenio Polici does, because remember, he was the first of our front runners to come into the lane, but he's been lapping by himself for quite some time. That's the issue with deciding to go for an alternate strategy here at Daytona. You run the risk of coming out with no one to slipstream with, and that costs you time hand over fist. Having said that, though, I'm looking at the previous lap times for the leaders, and they're actually running pace that's not too far ahead of Polici. They are gaining a couple of tenths on him per lap, and that, of course, can make all the difference. But Eugenio Polici may not be entirely out of the woods just yet. Donnie Moffat now, the next challenger to Lincoln Fox at the front of the field. Bit of a wider entry into the chicane that allows him to gain a bit more momentum in the mid-corner, but he's losing out a bit on the exit. Michael Folds nailing the run out of the Le Mans chicane. And here we go, David. How many of these drivers are we going to see peel off to pit lane this time?
Yeah, Johnny Moffat's gone away from the sort of pink BWT type livery to the absolute livery that matches Eugenio Polici's. Front here, no. Paint me just a little bit surprised. Michael Folds goes around to the lead of the race. He has a 2:11.7, a 2:12 from Lincoln Fox. Eugenio Polici's last lap was a 2:11.8, I think. We'll keep updated to that as he gets up to speed after his pit stops. But yeah, they're chopping and changing, but seemingly not costing each other too much time up here.
Yeah, seems like they're having a fun time all up. Got a race control penalty that has come in recently. Rob Conahan has been given a 5-second post-race penalty for contact with Mitchell Peak, who has just come out of his pit box. We got a host of cars coming in from the second or the third group. Peak, Fike, Oswald, Brocklesby, Rosorkis, Sabelski, Martin, Conahan, and Rick Wishon as well. Eugenio Polici leapfrogs the lot of them and gets up ahead, as they have to keep the pit speed limiter on around the inside of turn 1. I remember when that change was made, the limiter line used to be right at the end of pit lane, and you're able to go full speed. Oh dear, oh dear, oh no, that's contact. Uh-oh, Rick Wishon has spun there on the exit of pit lane, and that is going to result in checkups for a couple of cars behind. That's big time lost for those guys. I get the feeling Conahan might have been one of them.
This is a cold tyres pit exit situation. We'll go to look at the replay for Conahan. So you're still at pit lane speed of 55 miles an hour. He's understeered, caught a seam in the concrete. He's reversed back, and Wishon was not expecting the rapid movement. So for Conahan, yeah, just a tiny thing.
Looked like Jake DeGrand had to check up there as well. I saw the 906 having to come to a stop. So DeGrand has lost out quite a bit from that too. But our leaders are still battling here. Kuhlbeck looking up the inside of Fox into turn 1, and Lincoln is absolutely firing it into the corner there. Runs wide on the exit, and that costs him a little bit in the short term, but he'll still have the inside for the International Horseshoe. Or will he elect to go behind? Yeah, he goes deep again, because I think he was aware that Michael Folds was coming. They had to give him room to the inside. This is such a scintillating battle in this lead group, which now comprises 6 cars. As we've had more and more drivers come into pit lane, it looks like Rui Coimbra and Odyssey Adams have all jumped in to the pit lane. And crucially, Eugenio Polici, who was battling around that area, has caught up to them.
I think Polici's pace has been very good. He needs this strategically to fall well for him.
Yeah, it's all going to be defined by how the pit stops go for this lead group here, because their lap times are still looking really good compared to Polici. Eugenio set a 2:12 on the previous lap, so I think his pace has started to come down just a little bit. Considering the fact, though, that he is right behind Rui Coimbra, who was in the midst of this fight, I'm sure that that he'll at least be able to latch onto the back of them. We'll have to wait and see, though. See if there's any move to pit lane for the leaders. There is. It looks like Lincoln Fox is going to come in. He is followed in by Kuhlbeck and Moffat. So that splits our leaders once again. Michael Folds will stay out. Looks like Jared Culnins and Michael Coates may also be in pit lane unless my timing is glitching out. Gigi Griffin, Michael Chase, Kyle Genske, David Staub all visiting the pits on this lap.
It's a busy place and they're all doing 55 miles an hour, so your total time loss through pit lane could be worse around here. You just got to stay at 55 miles an hour through the hairpin here on the exit. Again, it's the short run compared to out on the racing line. Here comes Polici. He's at speed, so he'll still be in contention here. Be ahead of Kuhlbeck, be ahead of Moffat. Chase, and who's going to be our open class leader, Paul Murgatroyd, Jerry DiPiero. Some of those drivers have been very competitive. It's Gareth Brocklesby. I think that's a bit of new paint for him. New season for him, and he has changed his stripes.
That he has. Now these three are the outliers up the front. I'm sure they'll be coming into the pits this lap, otherwise they'd probably be in trouble of losing time, because now, though Lincoln Fox has quite a gap over Eugenio. Oh God, oh dear. That's not ideal. That's Culnins, I think, that's turned around there. We'll get a replay of that one through the chicane.
Curbs. It's why you got to be so careful. He's wide. He gets just a massive dose of the new yellow anti-cut curbs, and it spins him around way, way into the infield.
That's far from ideal there for Jared Culnins. He'll fall out of contention in that front pack. Interesting to note that Folds and Coates have decided to stay out a little longer, so maybe they're just trying to get a few laps on board with light fuel and try and overcut the drivers that came into the pit lane recently. Speaking of pit lane, Murgatroyd's in, so is Culnins, Stalker, and Jerry DiPiero as well, so that's our open class leaders that are in there at the moment.
Polici climbing back up the order a little bit as others pit. And now race again on the blend. Polici just sort of covering off Rui Coimbra. He's got some teammates forming up behind him.
Could be a little bit of help on hand for him. Meanwhile, Cameron Kuhlbeck a little bit on his own there. He's got Eugenio Polici's teammate Donnie Moffat not far behind him, but Moffat, I think, is a bit more concerned with what's happening behind him. Got Jordan Flowers not too far behind. So things have spaced out a little bit post pit stops, but I'm sure there'll be yet more to come. We've still got to wait for Michael Folds and Michael Coates to make their way into pit lane, and we're still waiting on stops from Todd Martin, Mark Kruger, and Eric Schulhoff as well. Everyone else has come into the pit lane save for Jordan Flowers.
Historically, a lot of things have spaced out from the Florida coast. I don't believe that's the technical term they use in the space flight industry. It's using all of the apron to make a straight line, beeline to pit road. Michael Folds followed by Michael Coates, Michael Derby in production. There's a 1, 2, 3 mic check.
It's all coming up, Mike. So Michael Folds and Michael Coates come in, so do Martin and Kruger. And Schulhoff comes in just behind them as well. Unfortunately, Mark Kruger overshooting his pit box. Eric Schulhoff maybe undershooting it a little bit. So that will cost them both a bit of time. Crucially, oh, that's interesting. Michael Coates just slingshotting past Michael Folds there. I'm wondering if he forgot to put the pit limiter on. I'm not seeing a black flag next to his name, so looks like he's all good there.
Getting going from a standing start with a very tall first gear in these cars, I think, can be interesting as well. So some drivers just a bit better with the clutch and the bite point coming out of their pit box. Not something you need to worry about from a standing start, because we do rolling starts for these sports car races in Spec-5 World Tour, but that could have been something Coates did, just fractionally better. Had a good stop as well, because he didn't feature so much in the first half of the race. He sat there, he saved fuel, he bided his time. Now as they all come back together, Lincoln Fox leading Eugenio Pollicci, Michael Coates slots into third. Rui Coimbra with his teammate just behind, but Michael Folds trying to slot in between.
So now Lincoln Fox is on his lonesome in the lead, about 1.5 seconds ahead of Pollicci. So we're going to be seeing some big runs in the slipstream from the rest of our top 5 as things stand. Lincoln Fox just needs to drive as best he can and hope that the battling behind keeps him ahead. 12 minutes to go in this race, and the lead will still be on for sure. It's all worked out really well for Eugenio Pollicci. That early pit stop has managed to filter him back into second place, and I saw Lincoln Fox run a little bit deep at the chicane there. He's gathered the straight line speed back up, but he'll have to be really careful through that high speed flick where the curbs have already claimed a couple of victims.
Haven't yet seen the tyre bundle claim any victims.
Touch wood.
Yeah, just don't touch rubber. Fox
Eugenio Pollici's going to touch the lead.
Yeah, Fox just pull to the right, let the train go at the crossing. So Eugenio Pollicci shoots straight through into the lead of the race.
Good to see Pollicci making good on that pace. It's very wide for Rui Coimbra. Almost got onto the grass there. Gently does it on your way into this second horseshoe, which has a bit of an open entry but tightens up right through the middle. It's hard to pick the line through there in your first few laps after some time out of the car, but you get it right and it is so rewarding. Same here at the entry to the oval, looking a bit further back. So it looks like Michael Chase up into 8th spot now. Got Kyle Ginsky chasing him with Otis Adams. Mitchell Peaks made up a couple of spots as well, so things are going all right for him. But I think this really demonstrates just how crucial it is to get your moves done on the first lap and stay in touch with the car in front of you, because it's so easy for these packs to form and then spread out to the point where you can't really catch the leaders.
Yeah, post the pit stops, once it's spread out, it's tough to bring it back together. Here we go. Can I get a 4th lane? Yes, I can. Michael Folds looking for the race lead. Lincoln Fox all the way up high. Michael Coates getting swamped. And Lincoln Fox, that is super wide coming off of the banking. As long as you exit well, though, you can get away with a lot here at Daytona.
Yeah, and I get the feeling that Lincoln Fox is trying to set something up here for the final lap. A lap around here takes well over 2 minutes, and with under 9 minutes remaining, my timing is showing me 5 laps to go. So that could be an opportunity here for Fox to just try and build some momentum up. He doesn't have to be going straight back to the lead at every opportunity. As long as he stays within a second of the car ahead, he will be getting the slipstream, getting the slingshot that he needs. And you never know, he could be the one crossing the line in first by the end, but I think we got multiple deserving contenders in this pack. Moffat's got Kuhlbeck for company back here. And we'll need to monitor whether or not they'll be able to get some momentum up, because it's looking like, again, about 4.5 seconds back from this lead pack for them. Polici and Coates doing all right for the moment, keeping themselves in touch with with Michael Folds, who's continuing his run about half a second ahead of Lincoln Fox at the moment, but that is prime slipstream range. Fox doesn't seem to mind ebbing and flowing a little bit, but he's going to have an attack on board here. Coimbra and Coates up high, and there goes Lincoln Fox into the lead. As he keep it into turn one, he does. Michael Folds essentially lifting out to allow them to go through. Now he will be the one getting the slipstream. These guys are working together very nicely, aren't they?
What you would be hoping for with a couple of laps left, so you find someone you can work with, you can narrow down the options, and till eventually you just got to battle it out for the win. Once you've sort of improved your odds, worked tactically to vote a couple more people off Survivor Island, but in the end you're looking to be the winner. Coimbra from Fox, Folds, Polici and Coates as our top 5 into the final stint. Jerry DiPiero leading open class at the moment from Brocklesby in second. No, Murgatroyd from DiPiero from Brocklesby. And they're all in this group. So why is Murgatroyd red?
Okay. Looks like that is something that will have to be rejigged a little bit post-race. 3 wide. Chase, Genski and Peak. And Michael Chase losing a lot of momentum into the chicane there, but fortunately for him, Adams lifts off in kind. So there'll be single file on the way out of the chicane. 3 laps to go at the front of our field, and they are still fighting wheel to wheel in the slipstream. Looks like it is Rui Coimbra that has the box seat on the way into turn 1. And for these guys, meanwhile, it doesn't look like much fanning out into the first turn there. That's Fox going wide and moving back into 3rd place once more. They're starting to come up on some lap traffic as well, David. It looks like that's Leonardo Guerra who's up ahead of them.
Yeah, you saw that around the pit stop phase. Guerra is sort of exiting around cars that hadn't stopped yet, and now they've stopped, put themselves about 25, 30 seconds behind, have caught once more. No worries at all, though, through the infield for Rui Coimbra leading the race. How many laps to go when you begin to count back? We're doing 2-minute 11s. Surely it's this lap and 2 more, right?
Yeah, that's That's what my timing's telling me. But we've been surprised before. Race control has given a 10-second post-race penalty to GG Griffin for contact with the 219 adjacent Stalker, and it looks like Stalker himself has gotten a penalty for later contact with Peter Roussorkis, and Stalker has gotten himself a drive-through for his troubles there. So some dramas in the midfield and a little bit further down, but the racing has been clean and hard all the way through for this top pack. A bit of side draft for Michael Folds as he gets the momentum on Lincoln Fox and Rui Coimbra. And moving up is Lincoln Fox to try and take advantage of that, but you see the pursuing pack start to close the gap a little bit. Slipstream didn't quite work there for Lincoln Fox, as it looks like, yes, it will be 2 laps to go here at Daytona. This has been a very nice race so far. I've really enjoyed this action. These guys, it's always a pleasure to watch when every single driver in a pack knows exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing as far as how to control the MX-5, as far as what everyone's game plan is, but when it comes to that very final couple of laps, only one of them can stand on top. Looking further back at Jared Collins leading group, Kyle Genske side by side with Michael Chase, heading towards the flat out kink in the infield. It's flat out if you're single file. I don't know about too wide. Can be more challenging. Genske still looking down the inside, and that's a super late braking opportunity from Mitchell Peak as a touch of contact.
Yeah, a little bit of biffo there, and that has sent Donnie Moffat down and out. Replay of that one. Oh, yeah. Looks like Moffat was... Sorry, that's the 22 of Otis Adams. Sorry, we were looking at a different pack there. Not entirely ideal for him. He has fallen away from Kalnin's, Chase, Genske, and Peak. So I don't think there's going to be much chance for him to fight back on the final lap, which is due to start in just a few moments. Folds leads the way from Coimbra, but we have Fox, Polici, and Coates giving chase.
Well, it'll be time for the final lap, and you'll just have to give every driver in the top 5 equal odds. Lincoln Fox looking for the race lead. Rui Coimbra being left high and dry a little bit by Michael Folds and Eugenio Polici. The final lap begins at Daytona for the start of season 18 of the Spec-5 World Tour. And for the perfect start to a new season, there can only be one of these drivers victorious in victory lane at the end.
Yeah, who's going to grab second and third as well? You know, you can put a blanket over all these guys. That's very deep from Eugenio Polici. Number 7 up the inside of Rui Coimbra, and just about gets the move done on exit, but it looks like Coimbra is holding strong, and he will have the inside for the flat-out kink here, which you can easily run too wide through in MX-5s. Goodness me, Polici is giving it everything under brakes. These cars have anti-lock brakes, so you don't have to worry about losing traction on the way into the corners, but man, Polici is pushing super hard, and all of this battling has given Lincoln Fox quite the lead here. It's looking like about 9/10 of a second. I'm wondering if any of these guys will be able to catch up to him. They might have to stall their battling just for the moment so that they can catch up.
But it's always it, isn't it? You don't want to be leading through the bus stop chicane, and you don't want to be right at someone's bumper exiting the bus stop chicane. Ideal would be to be 5/10 back exiting here. And Fox is almost backing it up massively to try to engineer this. Fox vs Folds. Polici is really well placed exiting the Le Mans chicane in 3rd place. Lincoln Fox goes up high, trying to entice someone else to lead so they can pick up the slipstream, and none of them want to do it. They're all up high on the banking with Coimbra side by side with Coates behind. Still think anyone can do it. Polici's pushing Folds to the lead of the race, trying to get clear of Lincoln Fox, and then he'll drop down, but then Folds covers that off. They rub and cover off each other. The checkered flag is going to wave with Michael Folds taking it just. Photo finish for third place with Eugenio Polici in second. I think Fox just held off Coates. Jerry Piero, I think, is leading open class.
Yeah, looks like it. Michael Chase just beating Jared Collins to the line for 8th, and it looks like Jerry DiPiero has it all to play for here. There's a huge gap to everyone behind, and he takes a dominant victory in the open class there. Todd Martin just beats Travis Hewitt to the line, and that is second place in open, now separated from first by a pro car. So a couple of points missed out there for Travis Hewitt, but he manages to keep Mark Kruger behind him. That's your podium there for the open class.
Murgatroyd back in the 22nd outright position. Fine margins everywhere in every battle, again in that top 5. You said, I think Lincoln Fox has an insurmountable lead, only to get caught and passed by Michael Folds and Eugenio Polici on the end. And Michael Folds will win the first round of the season on the Daytona road course, always delivering. This is our finishing order. Folds from Polici, from Lincoln Fox, Michael Coates in 4th place, then Rui Coimbra 5th, Donnie Moffat, Michael Chase, Jared Collins. Maybe Kyle Genske and Paul Murgatroyd have had their thingamadiggies swapped, because Genske is pro now, we believe. Mitchell Peak in 10th. Odyssey Adams in 11th. GG Griffin 12th. Some of this pending a little bit of post-race stuff, Reese. And Jerry DiPiero looking like he's taken the race win in open class for a fantastic beginning to the season. Head of Travis Hewitt. Then came Todd Martin, Mark Kruger, Mike Oswalt, Lee Martin, Brian Jabelski, and Eric Schulhoff. 21st, Sean Hayes. Paul Murgatroyd there in 22nd. Peter Resorkis, David Starb, Geordie Fike, Jake DeGrand, Rick Wishon, Jason Stalker, Jordan Flowers, Cameron Frederick, Cameron Coolbeck. Leonardo Guerra might have been the first driver a lap down. Then Rob Conahan, Gareth Brocklesby, Gavin Smith, and our race control and administration at the tail. Good racing. It's what everyone wants when they join Spec-5 World Tour, is you want it to be clean. You don't want it to be a wreck fest, but you want it to be so close like that.
Absolutely. I think minus the few incidents that we caught on the broadcast, that was overall a super clean round to start off season 18. And, I suppose Daytona's the kind of circuit where you don't really get an idea of who's really the driver to beat, just because the slipstream makes the battling so close. But, it's the same faces up the front. And I'm looking forward to the next few rounds to wait and see who's able to build some momentum in the early stages of the season.
Well, let's see if we can poach and coach some of our drivers to come have a chat. Looking for Piero.
I do see him down there in the driver's chat, Jerry Dippy. There he is.
Yeah, open class winner going to join us. How's it been 45 minutes at Daytona?
That was very interesting. I didn't expect that win at all, really, tell you the truth. I almost ran out of fuel. I had to slow down at the end. I don't know what happened to the guy that was in first, but hey, I'll take the win.
Yeah, it's chaotic pack racing almost all throughout. So how did you see it in the pack you were a part of?
Well, it was good. I mean, I started off pretty good, and then all of a sudden, like 10 cars passed me, and I thought, all right, that's over. But like they say, you just got to keep going, and that's what I did. And my pit stop was pretty good, so I think that helped.
I think that's going to be key. If we're going to keep getting sort of fields this size, it's going to be so close, and the small things in the middle to tail end of the race could be what separates drivers. You're going to lead open class with 9 rounds to go. I think it'll be very competitive there.
Yeah, because Daytona, of course, when it's a draft track, it's totally different than probably all the rest of the tracks we're going to do. So yeah, it's going to be definitely interesting.
Absolutely, it will be. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations, and hope you had a spectacular beginning to this new season of Spec-5 World Tour.
Thank you very much.
Let's return Jerry DiPiero to where I found him, and well, it must be dry cleaning day, Reese, because there is not a folds in sight.
No, certainly not. Someone got the iron out. Shame. It would have been nice to have an opportunity to speak to our overall race winner, but looks like that might be all we have time for tonight. Regardless, a brilliant performance from Folds. He don't forget, started on pole. In fact, looking at it, our top 3 finished in the exact same order they started in at the end of that. Interesting little factoid.
Yes, the predictable 1, 2, 3 yawn fest of 45 minutes of Spec-5 World Tour.
Yeah, what a boring race, right?
International Speedway. Oh, it's been great. It's been a firework of a race to kick things off. 9 more rounds to come this season. Brands Hatch, Summit Point, Motegi, VIR, Phillip Island will be good. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. We're going to Mexico City and Monza, and then Shelby Power Motorsport Park. The Bend, I believe, was the last on the calendar. Be a good one. A couple of returning tracks, some classic MX5 tracks. It'll all be live here on Spec-5 World Tour with HJBC. So wherever you're watching from, do subscribe, because we can't wait to see you the same time next week for round 2.